Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Snakebite. We have a lot to cover in terms of basketball so far this week. Not too much action for the other sports, but we'll have some previews. But first, we'll have this intro. Number 12 men's basketball team continues to look like a force to be reckoned with in Division II, extending their win streak to 10 and just in time to take on number 1 Nova Southeastern University, who likely will dip in the rankings this afternoon when they're released by the National Basketball Coaches Association. But first, we have to talk about the last two matchups against Embry-Riddle and Barry University by the Mocs men to understand how they look as they head into this marquee matchup versus NSU. In their first conference game at home in 2025, the Mocs took on Embry-Riddle in a matchup between two teams with 10-plus wins. The Mocs started off the game perfect, going on a 7-0 run thanks to great offense, but even better defense, with their press working to perfection. Peyton Gerald and Jaden Booth led the charge in the first half, with Gerald posting a team-high 18 first-half points on perfect shooting in just 12 minutes of action, as fouls played a major factor in his in-game action. PG's 18 points was a career high for points and a half, but it was a three-headed monster that helped the Mocs lead into half, with both Alex Dean and Jaden Booth also posting 12 or more points as the Mocs led 52-42 at half. Once the second half commenced, the Mocs wasted zero time getting their offense flowing again, with Dominic Denny scoring on back-to-back possessions to open up the second half. Denny continued his dominant second half all the way through the final whistle, scoring 13 second-half points to pair with Alex Dean's 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in the second half of the 103-80 win. After the victory, I had a chance to talk to both Coach Donnelly and Alex Dean. Check out what they had to say.
Alex,
you good?
You did a great job today crashing the glass, especially defensively. I know that was a focus of the team. How did you really battle down low today?
Like you were saying, it was definitely a focus. You know, Coach came in talking about how their offensive rebound, and that's a big part of their game. So, you know, I think that was kind of my head coming in. I got 14 rebounds last game. You know, he said crash, got it again. So I think it was really just kind of, you know, not giving up, being relentless, and like you said, Coach, you know, we were well aware that that's what, you know, they were going to do. They were going to push a little bit, shove a little bit. So just got to, you know, tough it out. So I think that's what I did.
And something I talked to St. Lifer about before the game, I talked a lot about Hussein because he's a guy that likes to work on that low block. And we saw earlier this year with Lander, we had some issues as a team focusing on that low block area. How do you think you changed that physicality down low to really counter that attack?
Yeah, I think, Coach was telling me, you know, you're going to be guarding them, and he was really saying, like, give them a little bit of space, you know, don't press up on them, because a lot of those big guys, they're good at spinning off, you know, kind of reading your body weight. So I think it was the combination of giving them a little space, but still, you know, being physical. And I think that kind of, you know, he obviously can make shots. He's, you know, a good player, averaging, you know, 12 points a game. So I think it was really just being straight up and being a little, you know, try and be the more physical man down there. And, you know, if he makes a bucket, then live with it.
Barry was the next team on the ticket, and the Mocs came out swinging, starting off with an SC top 10 play from Peyton Gerald, punching it home. And that set the tone for the game. The Mocs played a physical brand of defense, challenging the Barry contributors while showing their depth, with 7 players scoring at least 5 points in just the first half. In the second half, we only saw more moccasin domination, with the starters continuing to show their two-way play and completely opening the game up, allowing for the reserves to make appearances and scoring. In this one, everyone who touched the floor scored, but Joe Moon IV really got into the scoring action, scoring a season high of 16 and doing so with buckets from all 3 levels to pair with his tenacious defense and ultimately making the biggest difference defensively. So, you know I had to get an interview with him. Let's see it.
Some friends.
Season high of 16 today. How did it feel to finally get those buckets going tonight?
You know, I got to give credit to my teammates. They hit me when I was open, so credit to them. You know what I'm saying?
And then you've really gotten in rhythm from three in the last few games. What has gone into that? Obviously, your team is getting you open, but you're doing a great job of running the break and finding those openings.
It's really just consistency. I do the same thing every day. So I'm in the gym after practice, before practice, so just stay with it, and it'll come to you.
And then you've done a great job all year of really getting the lead guard for these squads. You had to take on Hernandez and Lane tonight. What went into that focus defensively?
Lock down and just find a way. Just find a way to win.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jim.
Oh, my goodness.
As previously mentioned, the Mocs will take on Nova Southeastern on Wednesday at Nova, and make sure to tune in to that battle for the top of the SSC and South region.
Women's basketball has had a heartbreaking last week of conference action, falling in both matchups by an average of 4.5 points in the final minutes of each game, despite valiant efforts from players like Ariana Bracero and Sydney Gomes. In the first of two conference games, the women took on number 16 Emory-Riddle in another down-the-wire matchup. To start the game, the Mocs found themselves down 6-0 before they started storming back thanks to major contributions from Sarah Ling on both ends, scoring 6 points in the first quarter on perfect shooting, where she also snagged a block and steal as the Mocs went into the second down 1. The Mocs then gained their first lead of the game, following a corner three from Reagan White in their first shot of the second quarter, before it became a defensive game with neither side scoring more than 2 points over the next 3.5 minutes. After that break in scoring, it quickly returned, with Ariana Bracero putting the team on her back and scoring 10 points in the final 4 minutes of the second quarter, putting the Mocs up 32-29.5. The game remained back and forth through the end of the third, with both sides scoring 19 in the third, but Emory hit a three off a Mocs turnover as they headed into the fourth. The Mocs looked to keep their offense rolling with 5 points from Gomes in the first 90 seconds, but after that point, the Mocs offense slowed as they were outscored 18-6 over the final 8 minutes, falling 66-62. In the next matchup, Florida Southern looked to respond against Berry, but was another down-to-the-wire game. To start the game against Berry, the Mocs looked to survive the three-point attack from the Buccaneers as they went 4 for 8 from three, which they did in great part thanks to Sydney Gomes' 4 assists in the first quarter of play. The second quarter was defined by Berry's number one option, Audrey Jennings, who dropped 15 second quarter points, leaving the Mocs down 3 going into the second half. Once the second half began, Ariana Bracero looked to continue to lift the team with her shooting, dropping 12 points in the third and going 2 for 2 from three. The Mocs remained down 3 going into the fourth, but again fell just short as they struggled to make shots in the fourth, shooting 33% from the field as they fell 74-69. They will take on nationally ranked Nova Southeastern tomorrow at Nova on the SSC Digital Network.
The swim teams return to action this weekend against SSC opponents. The number 16 men's Florida Southern swimming team will take on number 15 Lynn and number 12 Nova, with the receiving votes women's swim team for Florida Southern taking on number 10 Lynn and number 5 Nova. Both dual meets will be great indicators for the Mocs sit not only in the conference, but nationally. And we can't forget to give you guys the times for the games on Wednesday, 5:30 for the women at Nova, 7:30 for the men. And we can't go a show without talking about the track team, with me being on it. The track team will be traveling up to Gainesville again to kick off their indoor season in 2025. And a person to look out for, Christopher Colavita. He'll be running the 3K, and he holds the school 3K record over the indoor track. But Gavin, we can't talk about this week without talking about the hockey team.
Exactly. And hockey is back on Thursday night as they take on UCF on senior night in what is a big playoff matchup.
And that'll be it for this week's edition of the Snakebite. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.